What's up, guys? We got ourselves a very interesting update regarding Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, as it has just been announced, according to this reporter right here, that Kamala Harris could sit down with Joe Rogan for an interview in the final stretch of the U.S. presidential campaign. 3 sources said on Monday. Harris campaign officials met with Rogan's team this week, but an appearance has not yet been confirmed, 2 of the sources said. And then there's a full article right here in Reuters. And, you know, what's so interesting about that is this actually comes the exact same day. Matter of fact, like a few days, like 1 or 2 days after Donald Trump went on a podcast and basically said that he would be going on Joe Rogan's podcast as well. Let's actually go ahead and play a little bit of a clip of that. Here we go.
You're doing a lot of podcasts recently. One that I would love to see you on is, I think Joe Rogan has to have you on.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
Oh, sure I would.
I think Joe, like, besides us, Joe's
I think I'm doing it, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you are going to do Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I am.
Joe Rogan's the best in the game for sure. And I think, you know,
Did Joe become so well known because of the UFC? And he does a great.
Okay, so there you go. So So Donald Trump says that he does plan to go on Joe Rogan. Kamala Harris and her team are meeting with Joe Rogan. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I would have never expected in a million years for Kamala Harris to go on Joe Rogan's podcast. He's actually more of kind of a libertarian independent kind of guy, to be honest with you. But he's so often painted in the media as this crazy Republican, and he's very, he's like way far on the right, and it's actually not true. The reason why he got that label is because he took a very hard stance on the vaccine and on the way that the government handled the pandemic in 2020. And because of that, CNN and a bunch of other news media outlets tried to paint him as this crazy right-wing conspiracy nut. But that's actually not what he is. And when it comes to him being an interviewer, he's extremely unbiased. He's very good at what he does. And I actually think that it's good that both of them are going on there. But the interesting part about Kamala going on Joe Rogan's podcast is because it represents a completely different strategy than we're seeing other people in the Democratic Party try to employ, like Barack Obama. What I mean by that is most of Joe Rogan's fan base is young men. Who is Kamala Harris struggling with? She's struggling with men of all demographics. White men, black men, young men. They're just not really feeling Kamala Harris. But I actually like what she's doing, because Kamala Harris actually recently released a policy that was basically targeted towards black men. And I thought that was pretty good. And also, she plans to go on Joe Rogan, which I think is a great strategy. Whoever told her to do that, I think that's a good idea. You should go on there. And if Joe Rogan presses you, so be it. Your job is to go in that interview and win over men. That is your goal, because that is the demographic that you are struggling with. Trump is doing great with that demographic. And the reason why I think that it's great and it's such a shift is because we just had this article recently right here. We had basically Barack Obama went viral over the weekend because it says right here, Barack Obama calls out brothers, which is his black men, while campaigning for Kamala Harris. He didn't call them out. The media is being nice to him because the media likes Obama. Obama is very well liked. He's beloved in the public. Everybody loves Michelle. So the mainstream media is going to write articles in a way that don't tell the truth. The truth is he was way out of line. And he tried to call out and shame. It wasn't even calling out. He tried to shame black men because they don't want to vote for Kamala. And I think that's a huge misstep. I don't think that's going to get it done. I don't think calling out black men and saying, oh, you guys got to get over your misogyny and you not voting for Kamala because she's a black woman, which is totally not true. It's just not true. I know plenty of men who are voting for Trump. None of the reasons that they've ever said. I know so many people that are voting for Trump. I really do. So many black men. There are black men in my family. My 2 brothers are voting for Trump. Okay. My younger brother, that's 2 years younger than me. And then my other brother, younger brother, who's 5 years younger than me. They're both voting for Trump. I talk to them every week about why the heck they're doing that, because I don't agree. It won't ever catch me voting for Trump. He's not my cup of tea. But I talk to them every week. They never say anything about Kamala Harris and she's a woman and she's incompetent. They don't say that. They actually think that Kamala Harris is intelligent. Here's what my brothers say of why they're voting for Trump. And I think that this speaks to why a lot of black men are not supporting Kamala. My brothers believe that the economy and a lot of people's living situation and the way that the world is right now, the wars and the high gas prices and the inflation, and it's so much harder to live today than it was 6 years ago. They blame that on this current administration. They associate Kamala Harris with this current administration, the Biden administration, because Kamala Harris is the vice president. Going up to black men and telling them, oh, you're just not voting for me because you're awful, you're a misogynist. Men are so sick and tired of hearing that. That is a terrible strategy. That will never work. You are not going to be able to shame men to vote for Kamala Harris by saying you need to get over your misogyny and you need to get over your hate for women. They don't hate black women. I mean, I get it. Misogyny is real. I'm not saying it's not. But a lot of people are not saying, "Oh, I'm not voting for Kamala because she's a woman." Like people constantly try to, they try to make it seem like most voters are stupid, and voters are not as dumb as you think. If you really want to get more black men to your side, you have to tell them what they're gonna get. Hey, if I get elected, I'll do this, I'll do that. I think going on Joe Rogan would partly accomplish that. Hopefully Joe Rogan asks the right questions. And if he does and you answer them correctly, you might be able to sway some black men. But the main thing that's going on right now of why people do not want to vote for Kamala is the biggest thing that's hurting her is they are blaming their current problems right now on her. Even though I agree with you guys, it's not completely her fault. It's really not her fault at all, because even though she's the vice president, she's not the president. She doesn't pick the cabinet. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, that is how a lot of men feel. And if I'm in Kamala's campaign team, which again, I used to run political campaigns, I am going to make that clear to her. If you want to win, tell Obama to shut up. Stop trying to shame black men. Let's read some of the article right here. This is actually what Obama said. He said, while we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running, now I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. You're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that. Then he said, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president, and you're coming up with other alternatives and reasons for that. Adding, when we get in trouble and the system isn't working for us, they're the ones out there marching and protesting. Here's the mistake Obama's making. The same thing could be said about Hillary. People tried to say the same thing. Oh, they're not voting for Hillary because she's a woman. But no, people just didn't like her. They just didn't. First of all, Obama, if your wife ran, black men will vote for your wife. People love Michelle Obama, but Michelle Obama hates politics. She doesn't want to run. So instead of getting Michelle Obama, who everybody would love to elect, we get Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris, unfortunately, is associated with the current administration, which a lot of average, everyday working people who are going to vote in the next election are pissed off at. So you got to understand that. So this whole, you guys, you voted more for me than you did. Times have changed, Barack. It's not 2008 anymore. You ran on hope and change and all that, and that's great. But times are so much different now. The same energy that was garnered for you in 2008, people don't feel that same energy with politics anymore. People feel hopeless, sad, depressed, upset. They're sick of this crap. They're sick of the same old. And that's what you're getting with these politicians. The same old. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. They don't do it. And then folks just continue to get screwed, continue to struggle. And people are just frustrated. That's just what it is. And you got to acknowledge that. So anyway, I just wanted to make a video real quick on that. I think Kamala Harris going on Joe Rogan would actually be really good. We'll see if that happens. And yeah. Anyway, that's today's video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.